Yo, what's good? It's your man. I'm back with a nerd. You know what I feel me? Just waking up this morning. Gotta thank God. I don't know, but today seemed. Anyway, it's a seemingly beautiful Friday morning. And like I said, I'm just waking up and, I have a lot of a lot of conversations with myself. And today I was just sitting here thinking about this whole police brutality thing, man. Um, the excuse me, I guess, if you want to, I know that's what you're supposed to say, but it's like, I don't know, man. It's a natural response of the body. So I can see if you break wind or belch, even though those are natural responses of the body, those may have come with smells. You know what I mean? And you want to be like, oh, forgive me. You want to be like, oh, forgive me. I made a smelly. But anyway, the Carmelo Anthony and Metcalf case in particular. So there's been a lot of police shootings of innocent black people, and there is a lot of black on black crime, and it's kind of like, don't worry about that. We need to worry about the black on black crime, but it's not as important as the police brutality. Like I said, it's like sometimes people don't think. They don't think logically, and they don't think it was another thing I was going to say. They don't think logically though about the common. They don't use common sense. And by that, this is what I mean. If you and your brother get into a fight in the household, it's one thing. But you know what I'm saying. The parents ain't going. They're gonna be like, "All right, y'all go y'all separate corners with the whoop." Most people ain't gonna be too concerned about that. But if you go out in public and you get into a fight, it's a whole different situation. So within the black community, if they out there killing each other, it's like because of the culture. You know what I mean? It's because of the projects and the slums and the rat holes that you put us in the beginning when you were taking down a whole, like, this is what people forget. They keep saying, oh, you weren't slaves and you weren't this, but we are the descendants of this. Just like the white people, a lot of white people are descendants of long money. You know what I mean? And you don't just say, oh, forget about that. You've had money long enough. So why don't you give all that money away? You've been a descendant of the Colgate uh, 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 wealth for long enough. You've been a descendant of the Coca-Cola wealth for long enough. The Walmart franchise, this, that. You've been that. Give it to somebody else. No one is saying that when they still reaping the benefits of this. So we still reaping the destruction, the benefits of the destruction from a long time ago when they was, you know, blackballing people from being able to get loans. They was giving it to all the white people, but not the black people. You know what I mean? And these people couldn't get the better homes and the better living situations and living quarters. And slavery and all of this, we're still affected by this. Now, there's opportunity to where you could get it out the mud and better yourself, but a lot of times it's not what you know, it's who you know. You could not know anything, not have went to school for it or whatsoever. And if you white and then you can they'll usher you in they'll welcome you in with open arms just because you know the good old boy system. Oh yeah, he ain't been to construction school, but come on, buddy, you can come on in and be foreman over the people who's been here for ever. This black man's been here for 40 years. He know everything there is to know about construction. But you will overpass him to get your buddies, even if the boy went to school, you'll overpass him to get your buddy's kid in as the foreman over this man. Now, true enough, we can build our own construction companies, but remember we had all that. We had buses and baseball teams, and we had our own companies, and on a larger scale, and taxi companies and all of this different stuff. And they took it and bought it out, and and then Black Wall Street, and then all these towns that were uh buried, so to speak. Some of them literally, you know what I mean. They took them over and pushed out the natives. That's just something that they've been doing for all time. You know what I mean. So all I'm saying to say this, I'm saying that to say this: we are still suffering from what went on all those years ago. So you got these people in these projects, in these slums, in these screwed up apartments, and they're living on top of each other, just a few feet from each other, and things go on. You got so many people in in this such small quarters. They say, okay, if this family is hungry, they're starving, right? And they see that this guy over here got flaunting thousands of dollars, riding around in nice cars. You know what I'm saying? He dressed, you know, he threaded out. You know what I mean? He looking dapper, and got a couple cute little females that's coming around. You know what I mean? They look good. Guess what? If you put any being inside of a let's say a cage, and deprive it of its natural resources for long enough, it's going to behave in a savage like manner. So that's what happened in our community. So that's why they kind of overlook when it's black on black crime when it comes to the gang violence and all this and that, because it has become that is not our culture, but it is a culture. You know what I mean? It's not. I don't think that doesn't define us, because there's so many other aspects that black people contain. You know what I mean? That everybody ain't out there gang banging. Everybody ain't out there, walking around with pistols all the time, and they're not out there with the foolishness. And then a lot of those people, they just doing it to get along. You know what I mean? Because they know if it's not them, then somebody will be getting at them. So they have to protect their neck. You know what I mean? And things happen. Robberies happen, kidnappings happen, shootouts happen, retaliations happen. You know what I mean? It's just like I don't know, it's just like a long standing war, and people are just out here trying to make it. You start selling dope. This person see that you got dope, they want to come rob you. They kill your little brother. Now this guy over here, he ready to retaliate, and so on and so forth. And you have this savage like mentality. I gotta get it. And then uh um like, I'm gonna mention Charleston White, and I'll say it like this: I enjoy watching him. Three of my favorite people to watch is Big Homie CC, 607 and Charleston White. Now, I've been watching Charleston White for a long time, way before he became famous, way before everybody else started jumping on the bandwagon, and swear they just been watching him. I was watching him way back in when he first started. But what he said about the baby, I get it. I get that totally. You know what I'm saying? I get that 100%. Basically saying y'all concerned about this baby because it's mainstream. It's in the news. You know what I mean? Uh and y'all was y'all threatening him and willing to last shot at him, last shot at him, but y'all ain't going after the folks. You hadn't heard nothing about the folks. I wish that we could get more information on what happened in those jails. And I know we can't. Like they say, That it's the goofy shit that happens online that we are privy to, but the stuff that happened in the streets, it's on hush hush as it should be. For the most part, because sometimes street justice is the only justice. Uh, because there are plenty of cases where people get off for murders and stuff like that, and they deserve to go to prison. But But I wish that we could see what happened in these jails to some of these people that go in there that be done murdered babies and killed their girlfriends or killed their mama and aunties and grandmas. I wish we could see what happened to these people in these prisons. I want to see them get just savagely beaten. Some of the things that I've seen, over the last few years, that's done happened to these to people, children in particular, but people in general. But anyway, um, police brutality, man. Like I said, they overlook it in the black communities as a whole because of that. It's in the family, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's like I said with that brother thing. Oh, I can call my brother this, but you can't. See what I'm saying? So, with that being said, now that you understand why, because people be like, oh, as soon as a white man do it, y'all be all over it. But when it happened in the black community, yeah, because that white man didn't have no business doing what he did. He choked this man out for a cigarette. He killed this kid because he was ignoring him walking away with a headset on. Maybe, either he was ignoring him or he had a headset on, whatever the case may be. And like I said, I see that's what I was gonna say about Charleston White. Um, I couldn't get behind him on that when he went. Oh, 1 second. When he went on that show with that white guy, and I don't remember that. I don't know the name of the show, but I know it had a big red blanket or something up, and it said "It is America" or something like that. And him and he was sitting there with this white guy who was just you could tell he was racist. He was saying that black people were predisposed to just angry and being anger and malice intent, and basically is what he was saying. You know what I mean? And Charleston White was going right along with him. Now he didn't say that he was predisposed to it. He didn't agree with him on that. But if you just go listen to that little interview, you will see what I'm saying. Um, but he was basically saying that, and there's a lot of cooning going on. There's a lot of black people on here. They saying why not just do it because it's right and wrong. Why it got to be a black thing? Because it's always about race. Why do people say that? It's everything is about race. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna always look at you as the lesser than. You can see that when stuff like this happens. Have you seen some of the comments that has been commented in regards to? I seen people say that we were monkeys, we were unintelligent, idiots, like all type of stuff on some of these platforms in the comment section. They still have these feelings. They're still these races are still your city and government officials, your police chiefs and fire chiefs and police officers, sheriffs. They're in the prisons. You see what I'm saying? And so on and so forth. But see, in that prison system, they have to act accordingly because they know they are mess around and get snatched in one of them cells and dealt with. So, uh, that is why that white man had no business doing what he doing. Like I said, just think about all the people that was, and Charleston was, I couldn't get behind him on that, man. He was saying that this young black kid brought a knife. Nah, homie. See, man, forget all of that, man. I can't get behind you. I can't get behind you on this one, Charleston. Talking about he was looking for trouble. because he brought a knife. Man, calm down, move around, bro. You tell people you bring weapons everywhere you go. I seen people said, somebody said in quotations, it was like, if he's such a good kid, then why did he bring a knife? And I'm like, because of bad kids. Just people say stupid stuff. Like I said, they don't think logically and they don't use common sense. Because if you bring in a weapon to protect yourself, then that don't mean you're a bad person. And this is leading up to what my main topic of discussion. And yeah, I'm gonna get to it. But this is what Charleston was saying, and I'm using him as an example because, like I said, I listen to a lot of the stuff he say, and he done said some outlandish things over the years, and a lot of it I can get behind. But that one I just couldn't. Even when he went Trayvon Martin, talking about he was a hard headed kid that was bad and didn't listen to his mama, and he had to come stay with his daddy. Okay, but that don't justify him murdering this boy. So it was fine for Zimmerman to walk around with that weapon. It's all good. Ain't nobody put their hands on Zimmerman. Ain't nobody stole nothing from Zimmerman. They ain't said nothing to Zimmerman. But yet here comes Zimmerman walking up into this man's personal space and pulled out his weapon and shot this man. And then got away with it. Just like that other guy, the Kyle Rittenhouse guy. That had been a black person that they saw walking by in some what they would deem thug attire with an assault rifle, and see what they say. They would have put his black ass on that, pardon my French, but they would have put his black ass on that ground before he could have took another step. Hands on your head. Get down on the ground. Put down the weapon. Back up. Stand up. Go to the right. Put down your gun. Put your hands on your head. Put your hands on your left knee. They would have been giving him so many different commands. As soon as he would have not complied, they would have shot him and killed him. But now, not Kyle Rittenhouse, who traveled miles and miles across state lines on some good old boy. You think about that. You traveled miles and miles and you brought your weapon. Nobody said anything about that. They talking about how this young man was sitting up underneath a damn tent in the rain. I don't care what color it had on it. That don't make no sense. It was raining, from what I understand. I wasn't there. But just piecing together the story, you hear that people saying that it was raining. People were trying to go to their cars. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he was just trying to sit it out. Some people say that he wasn't supposed to be there. Some people say that he was supposed to be there. Some people say that the Metcalfs wasn't supposed to be there, that they weren't running track. And they was just out there bullying people. And hopefully the truth comes out, like I said, with all those people out there, you would think that if it happened the way the Metcalf boy said it did, that there would be lots and lots of testimony. There would be so many police testimonials written down, witness statements written down, that the evidence would be overwhelming as to what exactly happened. But as you can see, that's not the case. But again, Kyle Rittenhouse drove miles and miles and miles to come stand underneath somebody else's tent in somebody else's town with his assault rifle or whatever kind of rifle it was, and ended up killing 2 people and wounding 1, and the jury let him off scot-free because he was up there. And they let him go, even though he had unalived several people. Right? So, but when this young man sitting up underneath this tent in the rain, it's a tent. He was sitting there minding his own business. Apparently, he didn't. He had to reach for the bag. It's not like he sat there and had the bag on him. It's not like he had his hand in the bag with his knife on, with his hand in on the knife. It's not like he had his knife in his coat pocket, in his little hoodie pocket, waiting on something to pop off. These folks say that this man concocted a plan as if these Metcalf boys have done something to him in the past. And he figured now was the best time to execute this plan by skipping school, coming to this track meet, which he runs track, but skipping school, coming to this track meet. He could have been anywhere else. He could have been doing drugs. He could have been somewhere having sex, making babies. He could have been somewhere getting drunk. He could have been somewhere doing any. He could have been at the beach. No, this man was at a track meet. He was at a daggum track meet. So they said this man. Oh no! Back up. They say he worked 3 jobs to save up 10% of $1 million for bond money, and then went to this track meet and sat up and then made it rain. He made it rain, and then went. And even if it wasn't raining, but they said that it was. Even if it wasn't raining, he sat up underneath this tent, minding his own business, and he some kind of way telepathically told these Metcalf boys to bring they big racist, savage like, thug like, brutal behinds over there and put their hands on him and antagonize him. You this skinny guy, probably not even 140 pounds soaking wet, with these two big 200-pound dudes who play football and lift weights on the concerts and all this, and got this, probably do steroids too, got this roid rage thing going on, and they come over there and start bullying you, trying to put their hands on you, and you mess around and defend yourself. You don't know what's going on in that man's past. You don't know, you don't know why he carries that knife on him. Nobody's, I wish we could hear his side of the story, but I guess it'll come out in court. But yeah, he made them come over there to antagonize him, and then once the guy got over there, he was letting them know, look, punch me, I dare you to, because he want to go ahead and get this over with. It's like, I'm not gonna sit here and let y'all, bully me and poke on me and pick me up and grab me by my arms and try to snatch me and push me out of the. What if one of them would have pushed him out of them bleachers? Then it would have been, oh, he was where he wasn't supposed to be. So the Metcalf boy was just defending his school. They would have been they wouldn't have cared that he killed that young black man if he would have pushed him down them bleachers and hurt him. Which also brings me to the point where I think, what if that was how the Metcalf boy died? You got these two big bullies coming over here towards you, and what if he would have pushed him like, "Hey man, get off of me," and in the course of pushing him, he pushed him down some bleachers, and he would have died that way. Would there still be an uproar? But no, because this man had a little knife, a little pocket knife on him. Whatever, it was a knife, I know they go by standards of, 5 inches and all of that or whatever. But it was a knife. You know what I mean? Small knife, big knife, you do what you do, what you're gonna do with a knife. But they effed around and they found out. And he wasn't playing with it. He was like, look, man, just put your hands on me. And common sense will tell you, if somebody reaches inside a bag and tell you to put their hands on them, then you should just leave them alone. Why ain't they talking about that? This man sealed his own fate when he reached into his bag and said, put your hands on me. He sealed his own fate when he reached out and put his hands on this young man. At that point, it was all on him. You saw the motioning that he was doing. He could have had a gun. You know what I mean? He could have had a taser. You know what I mean? He could have had a small baseball bat. You don't know what he had in that bag. But yet, he gambled with his life. He tried to call this man bluff, and he saw he wasn't bluffing. They're not talking about that. All I understand the parents' frustration. I understand them getting mad, and upset because their child died. I understand them. But the rest of these people, it's like y'all don't even want to see all the facts and the common sense of what's going on in this case. So now that I've gotten that out the way, and because I've just seen a lot, I'm telling you, go look at some of these platforms. It's like this: when you go to a platform, if the person who's talking is talking about, if they're in favor for the Metcalfs, the comments are racist. If they're in favor for the Carmelo Anthony, then the comments are, in they are geared towards the innocence of Carmelo Anthony. But then you'll have a few, of course, on each side. You're gonna have a few people, against it. So in the racist comments, you're gonna have a person who's looked at this in a logical way. They're gonna say, well, that's the case. Woo woo woo. But I don't do that because it's like it's pointless. That person got their mind made up. They're racist. It don't matter what you say. It's not gonna change their mind of how they feel about this situation. And then in the Carmelo Anthony situation, when you have comments and people are like, oh well, he's a murderer, and he's this, and he's a killer, and he should go to prison for the rest of his life, and you should too. And people saying that I can't believe that they raised over $300,000 for this kid. This is like I said, from what's seemingly innocent young man, and the fact that the media has died down about it. Ain't no more further testimony. Ain't no witnesses coming out. Ain't no video evidence. Supposedly, I've heard that it was a couple of videos and they was told not to release them. So, um, so that's on allegedly. I don't know. I wasn't there, but and then, which brings me to my topic, my main topic. I guess it's not my main topic, but one of the topics is policing. Okay, so you say it's illegal for a person to bring a knife or a weapon on school property, but yet the police can do it. They do it everywhere they go. Lethal weapons at that. So it's okay for them to do it. It's a problem when I do it. It's okay when they do it. You know the rest. And but if no one is above the law, why are they coming on properties with weapons? Don't make sense. They can't walk into them prisons and them jails with them weapons. They got to log them in at the front door. You know what I mean? So why you can't do that in society? You going in there with the criminals. Now that doesn't mean that all of them are bad people, and that don't mean that but the people that have committed crimes and that ended up in there, you going in there with the criminals, but you're going to uh, log in your weapon at the front. But meanwhile, you come into society with good tax paying people, and you got that weapon on you everywhere you go. To each call you go in, make it make sense. If nobody is above the law, what I think should happen is they should come up with, first of all, take the lethal weapons away from the cops. Make them put them in their vehicles. They only get them out when they need them. Going to certain calls, and then they have to get the clearance from dispatch or whomever. But they should have their pistols in a specialized holster in their vehicle that logs every time they take this holster out and put it back. And they have to account for why they did it. You know, if someone says, you got a little log book right there, you have to use some more paperwork, but oh well, maybe it'll cut down on some of these police killings. Now you walk around with shotguns with bean bags, or you switch over to non-lethal rounds. and put you some rubber bullets in there. I promise you, I ain't never been hit by one. But from what I hear, you tag somebody with a rubber bullet, they gonna think that they shot. You know what I mean? And you could kill somebody with one of them if you hit them in the right spot. But these fools are trying to be highly scared, and as soon as they see any inkling of somebody else with a weapon in a Second Amendment, country, they go to putting out their weapons and screaming, and they might shoot you before they can, get a command out. Like what happened in the whole situation with the guy with the tow truck. But they should have those weapons holstered in their vehicles and have to account for any time they pull it out and put it back. So this way, when they go into certain calls, only thing they have on them is their pepper spray, their handcuffs, their baton, and that taser gun. Now it's crazy how they'll pull out that lethal weapon and pop somebody quickly and point it at somebody quickly and giving them the fear that it happened to me before. I was simply I was working on my zero turn lawnmower. I was putting on some new blades and I was working on the deck. And I was doing it outside, but I think it was starting to, it looked like it was going to rain. So I brought it in the house. I brought the deck in the house, and I had this, those little square tables that you pull the legs out on. I sat in the middle of my like in one of my rooms. I sat that deck on there, and I just went to work on it. But I had to go back outside to get something. And usually usually I don't walk around with my shirt off. But this particular day, I don't go outside with my shirt off. But this particular day, I decided to do it because I was just running out there to grab something, coming right back in. Man, tell me why when I go outside to grab something, I see this truck pulling up, and these assholes jump out of this truck with assault rifles pointed at me. Put your hand on the car. Put your hand on the car. And I do it. And once I'm, got my hands on the car, they're asking me, do I live here? They're asking me, what's my name? Do I know anybody of the last name of the person that they gave me? I'm like, no, man, I don't know nothing about none of that. And I wasn't just saying that. I really didn't. I didn't know who they was talking about. You know, I don't hang out with many people. And on the street that I stay on, next to me is an abandoned house. Then right on the left side is an abandoned house. Well, I guess if you're looking from the back, if you're looking from the front, on the right side is an abandoned house. On the in the little flats apartments at the very end is two families that stay in them. Like these units have two. These flats have two units. So on the first one there's a family. On the second one there's a small family. The next unit is abandoned. Then there's my unit, which I stay in, and then the partner that's connected to me is an old man and an old lady, and then next to them is my mother, and next to them is a burnt down flat that's just the concrete. Next to them, that's and so on and so forth. I don't know who you talk about, sir, but y'all done jumped out on me with these assault rifles, and you got the wrong person. So but yeah, they need to not have those lethal weapons. That way, on certain calls they go on, they can't accidentally murder somebody, but they have all these rules for what they need to do when it comes to fatally shooting somebody and pulling out that pistol. But yet they get away with murder all the time. But then they'll be scared to tase somebody because they might tase them to death. Man, get the F out of here, bro. Get out of here with that. You just want to kill somebody. That's all that is. Because why would you pull your lethal weapon when you could pull your taser? I'd rather you tase the shit out of me, literally, than to put hot lead into my body. That's going to either kill me or cause complications in the future. So you make it make sense. Put them prongs in my body and electrocute me to get me under control. Work on some tactics for that. So if you boom, if you shoot them and you don't get the prongs in the right positions to where it's not affecting him like it should, another cop should be right there ready to pop him again, or him or her. Pow. And then that person take control of the tasing so that you don't, fry this person's gonads or membrane or brain. So I think that should be the move. Now, when you go into certain high stressed environments, then yeah, take your weapon. You can you can properly and legally account for taking your weapon on this specific call. But if you had a traffic stop, right, and you go up to this traffic stop and I don't know. I say that I'm hesitant on that one because people can. It's easy for them to shoot you, But even if you got your pistol on you or not, you know what I mean. Maybe come up with some different ways of how to pull people over. Tell them to put their hands out of the window. Roll all the windows down and put your hands out of the window. Roll all the windows down and put your hands out of the window. And this way we can see you. You know what I mean? But like I said, you can use non-lethal rounds. Use those rubber bullets. Come around the front of the car. You know what I mean? Walk around so that you can see this individual the whole time. And come up with some different tactics. That way you don't have to use that pistol. If and just like you have other tactics where you walk up behind the car and you touch it with your little two fingers to make sure you put your fingerprint on it, so if it runs, they can't say that it wasn't you because your fingerprints is on the back of it. And you come up to the back and you hang out by the back window when you're talking to them, like that. You could come up with other ways on how to do it so that you can use non-lethal rounds or your taser gun to incapacitate this person, as opposed to, because I would say that those are rare cases, and most times when you pull somebody over, it's just a regular traffic stop. It's only every now and then when you come across a case where somebody might try to run or pull a pistol or something like that. So yeah, man, I'm just saying there should be a better way. It got to be a better way. Make them put those lethal rounds down, man. Holster that weapon, uh, and have to be held accountable. They have to be held accountable to a higher standard when it comes to police shootings and stuff like that. They all can't be justified. It makes no sense. All these people getting off. It's a shame that you have to brutally rape somebody with foreign objects and make them get in the shower together and torture them for days for you to have to go to prison as a peace officer. But you can shoot one in cold blood and then get away with it and then talk about it later on at the barbecue. Yeah, man, I got his ass. He got me one bending your badges and stuff, or whatever little thing you do when you shoot one. So I mean, it's a wicked world out here. Is all I'm saying. And it's a lot of angry people about this Carmelo Anthony thing. But it's like people are tired. They're getting tighter and they're getting tighter. And I honestly think that some of these shootings are planned. I think some of them may even be fake. You know what I mean? Um, you know, and I know some of them may even be uh part of a special ritual or whatnot, because you got some of these people who was in masonry and they were masons, you know what I mean, and or it's part of some other kind of group, and their children end up dead, and they benefit from it some kind of way. They sacrificed them, and I heard Kanika Jenkins was sacrificed. I heard that boy that they rolled up in that carpet was sacrificed. It's another guy that I heard was fact sacrificed. I don't know, but man, look. So it's a wicked world. You never know what's going on, man. You see one thing, but like they say, believe half of what you hear and none of what you see. So however it go. But I've done pushed this one a little bit farther than I had hoped to. But hopefully you get the gist of what I'm trying to say and what I'm saying. Police to police, man. Continue to pull them camera phones out and get that footage. I don't care if you see it's a peaceful altercation. Pull your phones out. Start recording, man. Because that's the only way you going. Even though a lot of the time, in a couple cases they got in the way when there was actual police footage. When there was actual footage, because there always going to be police footage. They always going to have their body cams, but they can hold on to that information for for periods of time and all of this. But if you got it on your phone, boom, you can just put it on the internet that same in that very moment. You can be going live right then, and then the police can't get together later on and come up with some other narrative as to why they did what they did or say he did this. And it's like, oh no, baby, I got it on. I got the evidence right here. That man never had no gun. He never lunged at you. He never spit at you. He never said anything. You just came up to him. He wasn't listening to you because he didn't have to, because he was sitting there minding his own business, and you got mad because you thought you were supposed to come over here and be a good old slave master, and he wasn't listening to you, so you lashed out and you killed that man is what you did. And I got it all on camera, and I hope you go to prison, and I hope you end up in a jail cell with a big rusty white boy who loved black men as far as he loved black people, and he grew up with a black mama, and his name is Bubba, and he make you get on the top bunk. He reach up there and snatch you down and throw you in that bottom bunk, and have his way with you for what you did. So yeah, man, that's that. See, boy, if you man beside does it all, and I'm out.